Hello, we are group number 3. My classmates are Fabrizio Lopez and Angelica Rodriguez, and me, Fernando Núñez. At this moment, we're going to have a book discussion about Animal Farm, written by George Orwell in 1944. To talk about the author is about to talk about the controversy and polemic because of the topic he wrote about it. Animal Farm is a political satire of the Russian Revolution in 1917 and written during the Second World War. We have read the material and going to focus on the topic about knowledge versus ignorance. First, in a society where an elite has access to tools that the normal people do not, these elite tend to oppress and dominate society. Fabrizio, what do you think about the history we have read?
Thank you, Fernando, for the introduction. Hello, Angelica. For me, this book is really interesting because, as you mentioned before, to speak about these politicians, events that happened in the past, and how the author tried to show through the book with these animals inside the farm. First of all, the owner, Mr. Jones, and how the animals take the control of the farm because they think that they can live under the human rules because they have the power to take decisions to war as a team. But there are some situation during this period of time, especially from the pigs, because they try to leader the rest of animals inside the farm. We have the old mayor, we have Napoleon, we have Snowball as the main characters about this book, especially if you are focused on the who were the leaders inside this history. First of all, they tried to write some rules about how they try to live inside the farm and living in a peace. But there are some situations inside this rule that at the end the pigs they don't follow this rule. For example, at the beginning they say all the animals are equal. For legs are good, two legs are bad. But what happened at the end? Some changed the pigs through the education because the pig they were there to manage the education for the rest of animal and how they to suppose to follow this all this rule. That is my point of view. It's so complicated, but I don't know what do you think, Angelica, about this?
Hello, guy. Thank you. Well, I liked the book. At the beginning, I was like a little excited about the idea that a lot of animals were fighting for the same idea, and because they noted that they were working for another person. There were, for example, the chickens, they store the eggs. For example, the cows, they make a lot of milk, and another one is going to take advantage about the thing that they produce. I mean, like say, humans don't produce anything, and animals produce a lot of things. And continue with the book, I was reading that, like always, there is someone to take advantage about the knowledge. For example, as you said, pigs. There is supposed that there were more intelligence, and it is unfortunately, and it's a little sad that they, instead of help to the animals that have problems to understand the ideas, they were like making a rebellion for themselves. They're going to work for themselves. For example, like a Napoleon, he he noticed that something wasn't good for him. He take the puppies and he made his own ideas. And for example, the other was Snowball. I like the ideas because he was thinking ideas to make the farm grow up and make all the animals have the same equality of opportunity. As you said, that is what the most important. For example, he said, no, they create the rules. Like no one is going to sleep on the bed. No one is going to wear clothes. No one is going to do this. And what happened at the end? Pigs made these things, but they do it, and but they were hiding their ideas. And unfortunately, for example, then we have Boxer, who was the horse that worked more in the book. And it is a shame that always the people or the animals who work more that have the the last at the last moment they have the end that he was sacrificed. And it's unfortunate that people take advantage of the word for another one. I don't know, what do you think, guys, about that?
In my case, I think knowledge is always the winner, as the donkey Benjamin, who was ironically the only animal in the farm who was the wisest, and the few of the at the last of this story who can read. He always was remarking, "Life's gone on as it has always gone on. That's badly." And it is true that things in the farm went unusual before Mr. Jones gone away. So all the four and all the vision of a better life were an illusion. That means that the vision that they have at the beginning uh, was a lie, was not possible to be sustainable. But so in the second point, come back to favoritism. Did you say that the leaders manipulate the masses? How do you think beings could spread ignorance in democratic countries? Taking into account their novel criticize the socialism.
Okay, thank you, Fernando. That is a good question because as you read on the book, how the pigs manage the education for the reference animal, I think that the pigs they pretend to manage the education for their benefit, but the benefit only for the pigs, not for the rest of animal. And what is the relationship between this kind of system in our currently life, for example, in our countries, Latin America? As you can see before, especially here in El Salvador, how the government managed the education. Not all the people had the same access for the a quality of education for all students. In that case, I think that sometimes the government they pretend to manage the education, but with not all the points. They pretend to show some special points that pretend to get some benefit, but just for the people to work together with the government. But what about the rest of the people that is not working together with the government because they have a different idea? This is not an equal system like the book mentioned. For example, in this commandment, all the animals are equal. This is the same. Could be the humans or the people in any country. All the people are equal for the government, or maybe you can think could be, but we think that it's not the real truth because there are some interests from the government, for example, economic, some different positions, status, or something like that, I think. But especially with the education, governments most of the time they manage and they pretend to show that a good education, but it's completely different because not all the people have the access for the same education. And you can notice this situation in our country, especially in the countryside, I think.
On the other hand, Angelica, you said that well-trained people means people who attend college, uh, who has a philosophical, economical, or political power, uh, take advantage of the people like us. What do you think ships are so easy to frame?
What do you say? I'm sorry, about ships, you say?
Yes, as a figurative, as the book.
Oh, it's a book. Well, for as I told you before, the ships, for example, it is supposed in the book that they were like it was a little difficult for them to get the idea, or also to to understand the mandament. But what happened with the pigs? They were more intelligent than sheep, but pigs, for example, instead of help to the animals who have problems to understand the idea, to help them to study more, they take advantage about that. That is a problem. That is someone who, instead of help, is going to take advantage for himself. I think that happened in that book, for example. And Fabricio, I was listening to your point of view. What do
Okay.
you think about do you think that here in El Salvador we have equal opportunities? I mean, someone who study at university have more opportunities to someone who is in the countryside or just study until high school, for example.
Thank you, Angelica. That is a good question and controversial at the same time. Because I told you before, not all the people here in El Salvador has the same access to the quality of education, especially in the countryside where the education is so complicated because you can go to the school and you can see all the building, all they don't have the enough resource for to get a good education. And obviously not all the people have the same opportunities to get a job or to finish the school until the university because first of all they don't have the resource, they don't have their maybe they don't have the opportunity to get a scholarship from the government to continue the studying. For that reason I think here in El Salvador not all the people have the same opportunities.
Yeah, you're right. For example, I think in the last government that was a terrible problem. Nowadays, I don't know if with the new government that helped to other people to, for example, to have a computer, to have access to internet, maybe this is going to change in the few years. Maybe in is going to make a little change for that. I don't know.
Could be, but I have another question. This is about the book, and maybe you can relate this special character from the book. For you, Angelica, who was the real hero in this history?
In this book,
Yes.
well, uh, you know, at the beginning, I was thinking about Snowball because I told you he that pig have a lot of ideas because he wants to make idea for all the group. But I was reading, I continued reading, and I noticed that there is someone who worked a lot, who worked it was in the morning, in the afternoon. That was Boxer, the horse. The horse and Benjamin. At the end, I think they were like a hero because they were together. They didn't think about who is going to work more. They didn't think who is going to take benefits of this or that. They work because that was the idea. Work together and make this society work for all of us. It doesn't matter who work more, who work less. That's what I think.
Yeah, thank you.
And
That's
I
true.
agree.
I completely agree. Right. Okay. And in general, Fernando, I have another question because we are talking about here the seventh commandment. Maybe how you can relation this commandment or how they change this commandment in the book, especially the the pigs, how they change this commandment for the rest of animals, and how you
Well,
can relation this situation with the government.
okay. Well, I think the socialist government always tend to apply restrictions and hard laws that many people can attend, especially especially nowadays where people are in liberty practically through the internet. We know cases like China, where the internet is blocked to the rest of the world, and the Chinese pages of internet only showed what government want to show. So about the commandments applied in the book, I think they are supposed to work, but at the final, it doesn't work. And in these governments, what to do is only to modify the laws they decide at the beginning, or only remove it. So I think the socialist is tend to work, but the problem is the restrictions in all the hard laws they apply to their own people and the neighbors. So in this case, for example, we can mention Russia and the US. Russia is not a socialist country anymore, but they have capitalism issues where, for example, technology, where technology was introduced, and many of the technology they use are made in the USA. For example, Google or the smartphones, who were branded in the USA but fabricated in China. Is not the relation. And that's why Russia is now uh, the part of the potential economical countries. But is Russia, for example, was a socialist country like in the past, is not possible to be sustainable.
Okay, good point of view. Good, thank you for your answer.
Okay, now I think we're gonna talk enough about about the topic. Finally, Orwell described how, how the power is abused in using a goodwill at the beginning, but after the days, these kind of governments are not sustainable. As we can see, as we can read on the book, these pretend to be a good idea, but at the final, they become the always they criticize. Mhm. I don't know if anyone wanna agree anymore.
I just thank you for this discussion. That for me was really interesting to read the book and all the new things that I learned from this book. Thank you.
Thank you. As you said, it is book was very interesting. The problem that we always have corruption. It doesn't matter if the society, it doesn't matter if animals. The problem is that we always it is supposed that we have to work together to have a justice for all of them, but it's always someone who just wants to work for himself. That is a problem. If you see someone wants to be up from another person, that is a problem. I think it doesn't matter if animals in society and everywhere we go, there's someone who wants to be before the other person.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
Okay, I think it's enough. So thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Take care, everybody.